Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. There's a bunch to go over. Let's start off first with the big news that happened late afternoon, early evening, depending on where you live, yesterday. So, according to Russell Wilson's agent, um, Russell Wilson has not asked Seattle to be traded, but gave his four teams on where he would accept a trade to. So, before I dive into those four teams, if I'm Pete Carroll, I get a meeting, whether it's in person or over Zoom, acknowledge that he is happy that Wilson's willing to stick it out at least another year, but that he's gonna include Wilson. He's gonna do everything he can to work together to try to further along the direction of the franchise again on a good path. And then if they can kind of mend fences there and do that, then great. Because if Wilson plays for Seattle next season, and Pete Carroll does not change his ways, then you're going to have a lot of friction. And then next year, Russell will probably then be like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely out. I gave you one more chance, you blew it, type of thing. So, luckily for Pete Carroll and Seattle, there's time to fix it. But you gotta work quickly here. You gotta do it right. Don't be like Houston. Okay, but now let's get to the four teams that Wilson's open to. First, Chicago. I bet Chicago's thrilled to be considered by Wilson, but this makes the least sense of the four. The only thing I'll give is Chicago's winning, Seattle's winning, so therefore he'll be used to that. You got that connection there, but um, you only get one weapon, but good wide receiver weapon. But the problem is he might leave in free agency, so that might not even matter. And he's not as good at Metcalf. The O line is not great. It's not the worst, but it's not great. So same problem there. And then since the team will have to give up draft capital, they can't really fix it quickly. Both the GM and coach are on their last leg unless Wilson wins them a playoff game. Also, for the next 5 years, you have to go head to head with Aaron Rodgers twice a year. So you'll most likely get the wild card spot every time, just like if you were to stay in the NFC West. So that's a no thank you right there. Now, Las Vegas. This one is interesting. As my one word description about this option. Um, the O line for Vegas is underrated. It's not actually that bad. Like it's better than Seattle's, better than Chicago's. So like in that regard, Las Vegas is good, and obviously the scenery, like his wife's here, like that's just a good place to live, type of thing. Um, and then, but then, and I think Gruden's you guys, he's a super winning coach. I think he's a better head coach than Nagy, but I still feel like Gruden's not the best coach he can be with now. He's an offensive minded coach, which is going to be a nice change from Pete Carroll's defense minded. So Wilson's definitely going to like that. But the two big things here is that the defense in Vegas is worse than Seattle's. So Russell Wilson's going to have to be in multiple shootouts, and then also you got Mahomes twice a year and Justin Herbert twice a year. And if you're talking about defenses, they're both those defenses are good. Along with the Broncos defense, while they don't have the right QB, at least they got a good enough defense. So, like you're gonna have to compete with that twice a year. So that's just not gonna work. Um, now, Dallas Cowboys. Now this one's very understandable off the field. You got the brand, the endorsements, the wife will love the market there. You could be on you could be on you're the QB of America's team, blah blah blah. It's kind of like this would be kind of a LeBron move where LeBron went to LA to try to win a championship to historical franchise and all that, but also feeling but then also really business related as well since he does a lot of business out there. So I feel like this would be kind of like that. Also the weapons, the weapons Russell Wilson will be working with. That's gonna be the best he's ever worked with, and he's definitely gonna be cooking. That's for sure. Another big thing is it's the easiest division, so Russell Wilson can guarantee himself a home playoff game and division title for the next 5 years, which is nice. But there's also cons, like Vegas, their defense sucks. Worse than Seattle. I think they're the worst out of all the four options here, and then including Seattle, I think they're the worst defense. So again, there's going to be a lot of shootouts, and then also the laughable thing here is that the Cowboys' offensive line is the worst one out of all these options, and it's worse than Seattle's offensive line. I mean, I so I don't. So again, that, and again since I have to give it draft capital, it's just like they won't be able to fix it immediately. Now, there's the Russell Wilson factor of hey, I'm on the team, and he can tell the offensive linemen who aren't free agency, hey, come work with me. But still, it's just like it's like I would love that as a Cowboys fan. But it's like, not sure if that's gonna work out. So then that leaves the New Orleans Saints. Um, Now I know the Saints have cap issues, and Russell Wilson, his contract's pretty big, so that's not going to necessarily help it. Which means, and especially since the Saints draft picks won't be good, and especially the one this year is the worst out of the other options at 28. I mean, they would have to give up the first round this year, but I feel like um, they would have to give up a lot of players with like similar contract values. So, for example, like for Marshawn Lattimore is due for extension. Seattle could use a good secondary player. He's a good one. They can give up him. Um, they can give up a good offensive lineman because we know Seattle's offensive lines are like Ramczyk. They could give him up. They can give up. Let's see who else. They can go Quan Alexander if the Saints can sign him and then do a sign and trade type of thing. So I bet Seattle will welcome that. Him along with Bobby Wagner would be a good linebacking duo. They can give up one of their defensive linemen, like maybe do a sign and trade with Eric Henderson, or even just straight up trade Cameron Jordan. Although that wouldn't be the most popular move amongst fans. And then since they might want a quarterback return, you would have to finally cut ties with Taysom Hill, which I know they love, or unless they do a sign and trade with Jameis Winston, so therefore Seattle gets Jameis Winston. There's a bunch of different options there. I know they're going to want at least 3 first-round picks, which, I mean, all 3 first-round picks for Saints are not going to be good ones. It's going to be at the very end. So therefore, I would say they're probably going to have to give up more star players instead of picks. But hey, at least New Orleans then could compete with Tom Brady and the Bucs, and then once Tom Brady retires, then it's Russell Wilson's division to lose every year type of thing. And I feel like Russell Wilson would make a better difference than Drew Brees and finally get them over the hump to win a title because they've had a good roster. It's just in the playoffs specifically. I hate to say it, but Brees has been holding them back. So this would be nice for New Orleans. And then obviously being a head coach, Sean Payton has won a Super Bowl, one of the best offensive minds of all time. Like Russell Wilson would love the Saints offense. So if I'm if I'm Russell Wilson, I would want to try. That would be my one option. And even if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I would try to work it with New Orleans. Now again, will he get traded? My gut feeling is no right now, unless if Russell Wilson gets more firm and actually demands a trade. Because if he says, "Oh, I want to play in Seattle, I'll play in Seattle," but if you were to trade, like, no, it can't be wishy-washy. They got to be like Deshaun Watson. I want out. If he says that, then we can talk about that. But as of right now, I still don't think that's going to happen. So another source that we saw the other day is that J.J. Watt has not narrowed his choices, but he has like he has like leading candidate, like teams are leading candidates so far. Again, he has dismissed a lot of teams. Yeah, he's still considering all of his options, but now he kind of has like a top 3 as of right now. And of course, that could always change and fluctuate. Well, let's get started. So one of the top 3 options, Green Bay. This was my top choice for Watt when I did my top 5 list, and it makes the most sense in the world to do it. Wisconsin's home, played college ball there, Super Bowl contender, just need a few key defense pieces to get over the hump against Tampa Bay. Also, he would be in the second East Division in the NFL. Now, he won't make the most money going to this team compared to other teams, but in the end, this is the best option. Second, Tennessee. Now, from Tennessee's perspective, this makes a ton of sense, and it was on my top 5 list as well. I mean, Watt was coached by Vrabel. Tennessee have that connection there. Tennessee has no pass rush, so Watt can help solve that problem. And the division's easier, which is nice compared to others. But the problem is, like, when it gets to that playoff time, is your team going to beat Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, depending on if he gets traded like Miami or something? It's like, no, that the answer is no. So versus the NFC, where let's say you're with Aaron Rodgers, then Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford with the Rams and Bucks respectively are the only 2 teams really standing your way. So I feel like Tennessee's not the best option, but I understand why it's in the top 5. Buffalo. Now this one was not in my top 5 list originally because I think the Bills defense is good enough. But obviously, I mean, you saw what Patrick Mahomes did against the NFC Championship game. Would be a welcome addition there. Um, the team will instantly challenge Mahomes. If you and then if you get by him, the Super Bowl is very attainable. So if you choose, like, it wouldn't be my first choice for him. Like, my first choice would be Green Bay, but if you were to choose as one, I wouldn't blame him at all. And then his dark horse team is Las Vegas. Now, Las Vegas obviously needs defensive help, and the city itself, like I said, is attractive for a free agent. But really, I think Cleveland's a better dark horse option than this option. Like, Las Vegas, you're more than a piece away from contending from Super Bowl, and B, you're going to face Mahomes and Herbert 4 times a year, so you might not even make the playoffs unlike the other options. So if I want, I just avoid this option, dismiss it entirely. If you want a dark horse option, like I said, Cleveland, or if you want another dark horse option, it's a really, really good option like Kansas City or Tampa Bay. That would be better than the Las Vegas nonsense. So, another thing that came out at the beginning of the week is the Steelers president basically said that they are going to work to bring back Big Ben this week. I mean, this year. Now, some of you may not like this, and I totally understand why. I mean, including Steelers fans, I know the reasons why we want to move on from him. However, this is the right move, and here's why. Like I said, they do not have a succession plan. Rudolph and Haskins are not the answers, especially Rudolph. He's given his chance, he blew it. Haskins, if he matures and progresses, maybe, but that'll take years down the line. He's not right now ready, type of thing. He needs time to work on his maturity, work on his confidence, and grow as quarterback, stuff like that, because he's still very young. Right now, Green Bay has a succession plan. Now, it turns out they did too early, but still, when it's finally time to move on Rodgers, they're going to be ready. At least they think they're going to be ready. We'll see how Jordan Love actually does, but at least they think they'll be ready. And the problem is because the Steelers they're not going to be bad enough to get like a top 10 draft pick. I mean, and the quarterback prospects come in the draft next year, besides like a Sam Howell or maybe Kings are just like not that good. You're kind of in the limbo there. And then maybe you would have to hope Dak Prescott is a free agent next year, but I wouldn't rely on that. So now you're basically facing the situation where the Patriots are right now, where it's like all they have is Jerry Stim, unless they decide we can't do him back. But that's just not much of a better option, in my opinion. So because the Steelers have not done their job in succession plan, this is the correct move for the Steelers in the end to bring Big back. Again, they're going to rework the contract, so obviously that's a ridiculous contract. So they're going to work out, so that's not the issue. But despite Big Ben's limitations, just 1 more year's contract, they can make it work and then find a quarterback next year and hopefully have a better free agent quarterback class next year. So one last thing I want to talk about is this came from Deshaun Watson's camp that he would accept a trade to either the Jets, Dolphins, and Panthers. So a few things to discuss here. One, I'm surprised to not see the 49ers on this list. Maybe he said he seems because they have the higher picks, and so that would be more of a realistic trade. Especially the Jets and Dolphins have the most picks. So I think the only reason he mentioned Carolina is because Carolina, we know, has been actively trying to get him, but then also that's his home, so it makes sense there. And then recently, apparently, Watson spoke with the new head coach David Culley for the first time, and basically said sorry, but not sorry. I'm still out. I'm not gonna play for you. Which, if you're David Culley, it's got to sting just a little bit, even though it was kind of expected. But again, the Texans remain firm that they're not going to trade Watson. So, I mean, for Houston, I mean, you basically have around a month to kind of change your mind once free agency starts, and before the draft, you got to do around March, maybe beginning April or something. But it's like you got to do it soon. If you don't, well, then good luck sucking for the next couple of years, Houston, because that's what you're going to do. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening to my podcast. Please subscribe to my channel and tell everyone about me. Thank you very much, and y'all have a wonderful weekend.